Okay.
অশোকদার ক্ষেত্রে যখন যে জিনিসটা করি সেম তোমার ক্ষেত্রেও তো আমি সেই জিনিসটাই করবো
And now,
না ওইটাই আমি কালকে মঙ্কসকে কথা বলছিলাম যে আলটিমেটলি যে যেখানেই উঠবে কেন যে দেখা হলে রাস্তায় দেখা হলে কি
now it's time to listen to some music. So, how many of you are ready to sign into some music, good music? It's a Samsung Smart TV, and here we'll be listening to music on YouTube. Fan chalai? এই নেটওয়ার্ক ইস্যু হচ্ছে।
Code Studio Banda, Season 4.
So now we'll be reading to a book. The book is Master Your Emotions. On my Instagram page, I have already read the introduction. Now we'll be starting with chapter 1. How your survival mechanism affect your emotions. What emotions are? Have you ever wondered what emotions are and what purpose they serve? In this section, we'll discuss how your survival mechanism affects your emotions. Then we'll explain what the ego is and how it impacts your emotions. Finally, we'll discover the mechanism behind emotions and learn why negative emotions can be so hard to deal with. Okay, so let's start. How your survival mechanism affect your emotion. Why people have to have a bias towards negativity. Your brain is designed for survival, which explains why you are able to read this book at this very moment. When you think about it, the probability of you being born with extremely low. For this miracle to happen, all the generations before you had to survive so long enough to procreate. In this quest of survival and procreation, they have they must have faced death hundreds and perhaps thousands of times. Unfortunately, unlike your ancestors, you're probably not facing death every day. In fact, in many parts of the world, life has never been safer. Yet, your survival mechanism hasn't changed much. Your brain still scans your environment looking for potential threats. In many ways, some parts of your brain have become obsolete. While you may not be seconds away from being eaten by a predator, your brain still gives significantly more weight to negative events than to positive ones. Fear of rejection is one example of bias towards negativity. In the past, being rejected from your tribe would reduce your chances of survival significantly. Therefore, you learned to look for any sign and of rejection, and this became hardwired in your brain. Nowadays, being rejected often carries little or no consequences to have long-term survival. You could have hated by the entire world and still have a job, a roof, and plenty of food on the table. Yet your brain is still programmed to perceive rejection as a threat of your survival. This is why rejection can be painful. While you must now reject, you know most rejections are no big deal. You nevertheless feel the moment. You nevertheless feel the moment. Feel the emotions, pain. If you listen to your mind, you may even create a whole drama around it. You may believe you aren't worthy of love and dwell on a rejection for days and or weeks. Worse still, you may become depressed as a result of this rejection. In fact, one single criticism can often overweigh hundreds of positive ones. That's why an author with 55-star reviews is likely to feel terrible when they receive a single one-star review. While the author understands that one-star review isn't a threat to her survival, but her authorial brain doesn't. It likely interprets the negative review as a threat to her ego, which triggers an emotion reaction. The fear of rejection can also lead you to overdramatize events. If your boss criticizes you at work, your brain may see the event as a threat and you may think, what if I am fired? What if I can't find a job quickly enough and my wife leaves me? What about my kids? What if I can't see them again? While you are fortunate to have such an effective survival mechanism, it is also your responsibility to separate real threats from imaginary ones. If you don't, you will experience unnecessary pain, worry that will negatively impact your quality of life. To overcome this bias towards negativity, you must program your mind. One of human being's greatest power is our ability to use our thoughts to shape our reality and interpret events in more than empowering way. Book will teach you how to do this. Action step. Complete the corresponding exercise in the workbook. Section 1. What emotions are biased towards negativity? We're gonna do this, but before that, I'm gonna switch off the slide. Bye bye, everyone.